10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
There we go.
There we go.
They couldn't hear me. I had that mute on. I was over here coughing and everything. Once again, let me rewind that. Drum roll, the whole nine. You're now tuned into the Stargate Live Show with your host, your guy, Nix. And we got a special guest today for you boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, kids of all ages. The one and only writer extraordinaire, Matthew Lenix, a.k.a. Star Conscience. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, my man, Nix. Thanks for having me on, brother.
So, real quick, a little background. First time on the show. Obviously, I know plenty about where you're at and what you're doing and everything. But I'll tell you what, man, let's roll the red carpet out for you real quick. Let the people know exactly who you write for and what you got going on, man.
I am currently a writer for Inside the Star, Cowboys Wire, and NGSC Sports. I've been published since June of 2019. I'm currently over 1,000 articles for all three sites combined.
Yeah.
I started actually in 2014, but it was kind of an off and on thing. I would, write here and there, and I would take, 6 months off here and 5 months off there. And then finally I just, in December 2018, I said, I'm looking for a career. I've had plenty of jobs, but I want a career now. And I said, what better way to get a career than to talk about what I love to talk about the most, which is football, and more specifically the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was going to say, and big congratulations. I think it was last week, actually, you threw it out there that you found you just broke the 1,000 article point, my friend.
Sir. Yes, sir, I did. And I actually didn't even recognize it until I actually checked the numbers, and I actually had just went for, I think I was at actually 1,002.
That's what's up.
Yeah, man. It's been an amazing ride, man. Shout out to Bryson Treese at Inside the Star, my man Ralph Garcia at NGSC Sports, because he had an opportunity with them a week after I got on Inside the Star, and also, of course, my man KD Drummond over at the Cowboys Wire, who has
man. But shout out to Big KD, because I'll tell you what, he dropped a fire article today. Woo.
Yes, he did.
I tell you,
yes, he did.
Because we have discussed the Xavier Howard trade scenario over here in the confines of what we're seeing at practice, right, with these quarterbacks, what's going on. And boy, I went through it right now. I was like, man, for me, I don't know how you feel, but for me, I'm like, man, I want to see Stephen Jones, push them chips all the way to the middle of the table. Mr. Jones, Jerry, say Papa Jones, if you will, who said, you don't know what I would do or the amount of money or a bigger check I would write, to get back to this thing. And, as we kind of talked about it early on stages, right? They were like, no one was like, oh, we can't do that. It's too much money. It's too much to have. But boy, Katie did an amazing job breaking down how that money could work and how you can move some things around.
He is a wizard when it comes to the cap. Absolutely.
Now, let me ask you this: are you stay pat with the youth movement, or would you pull the trigger if something was available to go get Howard?
Look, I mean, I love what we got going on with the youth movement. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited about a lot of those guys. But when it comes to someone like Xavier Howard, I wouldn't mind if Stephen Jones and them said, hey, like, let's throw all our chips in there one more time and grab another, big name and bring him in, because, to have him on one side, Diggs, and then you got, Joseph, who's, showing what, why he was a first round grade by some and the second round pick. Anthony Brown's having a good camp. Nashawn Wright's doing some good things. But if you can add a guy like Howard, I wouldn't be opposed to it at all.
I'll tell you another guy, too, as we're talking about this cornerback positioning, the pleasant surprise, the COVID opt-out from last year, right? Maurice Kennedy. And he has been, slot, outside. I think he's up to 3 or I think he had his third interception. Should have had a fourth. He dropped one. Should have had his fourth, but he definitely got number 3 today. What a pleasant surprise for this defense and Dan Quinn with this guy coming into the fold and doing what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, to be a 2020 opt out and to spend a year away from to come in, and he's come in, guns blazing. I mean, he's looking like, he's securing his spot on the 53-man roster already.
Right.
I don't see any way with the momentum he's got right now, how he doesn't make the final 53. And to have a guy like that who not only gives you depth at corner, but gives you some special team, reps too. He's much more than just a special teams guy. Like, this is a guy you can plug in and play. If God forbid, unforeseen injury happens or something like that, or spelling the guy a little bit and needs some rest. Like, he is looking like he is on a mission to show what he's really worth, and he's having a really good camp.
And I got Rocket Movie the Chain says when she grows up, she's going to be an awesome rider like you, Mr. Conscience.
Rika. Yeah, Rika, man. Shout out to Rika, Mr. Move the Chains. She actually put out a really good piece about
I'll tell you,
Amari Cooper earlier.
I had to send it to her because as I was looking and I was getting prepared for we were coming on, but I got a notification across the top of my phone saying now trending on Reddit. I said, oh, look at her trending on Reddit over there with the Amari Cooper piece. Really good piece too as well.
Yeah, she actually put a really good piece. She's definitely a up and comer, and like I told her before, like just keep at it. Like got the passion for it, and you right from the heart. Eventually, somebody's going to find you. Yeah, because passion like that can't be held down but for so long. So.
And Kenny coming in around time talking about he is beasting on this camp is actually what we're talking about. And he kind of got the opportunity, right? Because Jordan Lewis kind of fumbled out the gate and couldn't practice right away. Nashawn Ryan had a little bit of issue. They tweaked his little right ankle a little bit, but obviously he's back out there. And that's one of the big things that, when it comes to this game of football, when the opportunity presents itself, man, you got to snatch it and walk through that door. And man, I tell you, Kennedy has really
i.e. Dak Prescott
kicked it. I mean, he has kicked that door in thus far. And I'm with you, what you just said, Lennox, man, unless he falls off a cliff, the clip that he's playing and what he's doing right now, I think he's now secured himself a position on this roster. Man, those are all the way out there saying starting slot. He's calling it right now. Okay. Little hot fire coming in there. My guy, the Ninja's in the building says, why not just saying the numbers aren't too far off from the campus? And that's going back to when we were talking about the trade with Howard. Yeah, man, we would love to. And, hey, me and Matt are on the same building or on the same page. We're riding with KD on this as well. I've been on board, man. Push them chips in. Let's go get him. Let's talk about this one in the secondary, though, Matthew. Richard is Reggie Robinson on the roster bubble? What do you think, brother?
No, I don't think he's on the roster bubble as of yet, but I do think that he needs to have a good showing. I mean, because we have a lot of corners really good. Like, a lot of them are looking really good.
Right.
You look at, like I said, Kelvin Joseph, after he kind of stumbled out the gate, he had the 10-day quarantine, and then, he missed some time, and, Nashawn Wright came out the gate, doing his thing, but he on the bubble, yeah. But there's a lot being good, and I think really seeing Kelvin Joseph showing why he was a second round pick. I mean, he's looking really good. He actually had a couple of good reps in the slot against CD.
Right.
I saw on Twitter, and, so he's playing inside and outside. So. That's really, encouraging to see. Like I say, Candy's balling. Anthony Brown is trying to show why he got a second, why he got his contract. And of course, competition brings out the best in people. And I'm all about competition. Care if you got a roster slot pretty much secured. I love when guys who look like they're locks and you get somebody else that's another young talent come in and they get drafted just to push them a little bit. Not necessarily they're going to beat them out. Just to remind them that it's the NFL, and you never know what was hidden gems all the time. So, and like Nashawn Wright, I think he came out guns blazing. He's kind of cooled down a little bit. And you have to remember, like when you're a 6'4" corner, it's kind of hard to be twitchy when you're 6'4". So if he has to be in the go up against guys that are a little bit faster and quicker, like that's where I think Kelvin Joseph showed that he was, the much better, a better prospect because he can do all of that. So I don't think Reggie's on the bubble yet, but he definitely needs to have a showing the rest of camp he needs to buy season because he'll get a lot of reps in the preseason. So
yeah,
not yet because I have a special feeling with Reggie Robinson because I actually wrote about him before the draft last year about how the Cowboys needed to pick him up, and I actually, when I wrote an article about him, there was another guy on their team that wore the same jersey number, and whenever when I posted the article, I put the wrong person, and his father contacted me. He actually he hit me up on Facebook. His father and his sister. They were like, hey, so actually, I put the right one up. And then when he got drafted, I reached out to both of them. I said, I really believe in your son. I really like him. He's got, he brings a lot to the table, and it was just crazy that they ended up drafting him after I had wrote about him. So, for sentimental reasons, I hope Reggie does what he has to do so he can stay on the roster because he has a lot.
And of course, I mean, Willie McClay. Yeah, and I was going to say, and Will McClay came, out and said, basically, it was just cat of that draft. I think for me, the issue is I think he's on the bubble, personally. I do. And because I don't know if he has a sponsor on that defensive side of the ball, and, he's on to a second coordinator right now, right? And they've done so much with him, right? Well, they got him in here. Well, we're going to corner. Well, we're going to kick you to safety. Well, then we're going to kick you back to corner. Well, no, we're kicking you to safety. Well, actually, no, now you're going to be corner again. They've done a lot of that with him. Now, I know the first padded practice, he did get a lot of reps, and he held his own for the most part. I mean, you're going to have things that are happening, like going back to Nation Wright, who came out the gates flying. But once they got to training camp, we see some of the things that we know about him. Footwork, his feet get a little tangled sometimes on different things, and we're kind of seeing some of that with Nation. So he's kind of falling back to earth. But I am with you on he does have an opportunity still. I think he's a bubble guy, but I think, yes, he can play himself onto this roster with the youth movement. And this is when I kind of get into certain things. Because for me, I think Anthony Brown, if he's not exceptionally better than any of these young guys, then they're not going to keep him here with the money. They're just not. I think they're going to get rid of him. I've kind of been on that. Everyone's asked me, from the gate, like, who's your surprise cut of the training camp? And I've said from the outset, back in OTAs, I think Anthony Brown is, because they gave Jordan Lewis the same contract they gave Anthony Brown 2 years ago, right? That's one. Two, you're making it the outside corner basically because Jordan Lewis has been signed to be your slot corner. For whatever reason, they're not going to let Jordan play outside. We know that. So for me, I was like, he's got to be exceptionally better than the number 44 overall pick or the third rounder in Nation Wright. And I thought that was key. Why, for me, anyways, I thought it was key because the scouts wanted Kelvin Joseph, the coaches wanted Wright, and the reason they got Wright in the third round, and the reason they got Wright in the third round instead of the fourth round was because it's to me, this is just me speaking, it's easier to sell a third round corner starting over which you get to the fourth, fifth, maybe where you could have got him later. You would have pulled the trigger now to a certain extent. But either way, they both have sponsors, if you will.
I agree.
So Brown has to be Brown has to be an exceptionally better cornerback than Wright and Joseph. If he's not, there's no reason for him to be here. And that's kind of been my logic on it. Now, whether that means he's a trade piece or you move on from him, either way, I don't know. And that's why I tweeted out right before camp. I said the best thing for the Cowboys, for me, in my opinion, is whether it's Kelvin Joseph or Nation Wright to really walk through that door, put their hands around the throat of that second cornerback position and go get it. Now, here's the thing. And the wild card, where we're talking about these quarterbacks right now, Mr. Maurice, Mr. Opt-Out, has walked through the building and been a very pleasant surprise, which also to me tells me doesn't bode very well for Mr. Brown, which then goes back to your guy Robinson. Well, maybe we can keep Robinson around and just let Brown go. See, so there's a lot of moving pieces right now as we're 7-8 days into camp, if you will.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Maurice Candy, he's, it's like it's kind of like the Stone Cold Steve Austin thing on the glass break, and he's coming back strong. Like, look, like, don't forget about me. And he looks very seasoned. He looks very fluid. His anticipation is there. He's intercepted 3 or 4 balls. He dropped one. I actually saw him doing some push-ups, which is customary whenever you drop a ball.
And of course, Jalen Slidden over there was making sure Jalen Smith was counting for him. I'm sure that's going to make some Cowboys Nation very happy.
Oh, Jalen. Oh, have mercy.
Yeah, he's got hey, man, he's being a leader. All right. Yeah, you dropped that, right? He's being a leader. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. No, we'll start. We stepped into Jalen Smith territory, so by all means, I'll go ahead and let you get some thoughts out about these linebackers, then, my friend, that we're seeing so far.
Oh boy, Micah Parsons, Mr. Do It All,
Mr. Swiss Army
this
knife,
guy, man. Mr. Swiss Army knife. He took the word right out of my mouth, man. Of course, when he got drafted, a lot of people were against drafting an off-the-ball linebacker, but like I always told people, especially a lot privately, he's a playmaker, and you always draft playmakers. And as you see in practice, he's playing linebacker. He's rushed from the edge. He's even rushed from the defensive tackle spot. So, and you see how invested they are in him. Not like, you have Dan spending time with him after practice. You saw Tyron Smith going through drills with him, giving pointers, kind of like how DeMarcus Ware did with him, like whenever he came in. Well, Michael Parsons, man, I think he has a really good shot to be in that running for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Jalen and LVE, this is a really big year for them because they're both in the talks of being, like KD put, in that trade room, as people that we can let go and bring in a guy like Howard, because it's never been about talent. It's just been about availability, and that's your biggest asset whenever you're a pro athlete. Whenever he's on the field, he's good, but he's been banged up so much, right. And like with Jalen, people were waiting for him to get back to that 2018 form when he really looked like one of the better linebackers. And it's just the only thing with Jalen with me that just makes me cringe is when I see him in coverage. It's just. Right.
Let me ask you a question.
He still sometimes look kind of good.
Yeah, let me ask you a question on that. Does it feel like maybe they just saying, hey, even though right that Jalen's going to be at the Sam and we're going to have LVE back at the wheel, which LVE's been very vocal about being where he feels like he's always belonged, right? But we also know you're talking about 20% of the snaps in that kind of scenario, right? Really, we're going to be a nickel a ton for what it's worth. Do you kind of feel like they've kind of said, hey, LVE, Jalen, who wants to be on this roster? Perhaps, and it's going to be between them and not. I don't want to say completely move off of them because you got great depth there, but the lion's share of the snaps. Because when you're 70 to 75% of just two linebackers on the field, well, we talk about the Parsons getting moved around, and obviously Neal's in the building who's starting to play a little bit better in these practices now. Jabril Cox, we're waiting for him to see what he's going to do with the fourth round pick. Everybody believes that he's a steal. There's only so many defensive snaps they can do. Do you kind of feel like they're kind of not that they purposely pitted them? We're just talking about competition wise. They're competing for total snaps going forward. Like it's not going to be just set place. Them two guys are going to be in the middle.
Yeah, I just think you make a great point. Like you said, a lot of nickel means only two linebackers, and of course you can't take Michael Parsons' field. Like you just can't. Like he just does too much. You can use him in too many ways. He just has to be on the field all the time. So you actually make a great point, man. Like it actually could come down to them as far as who's that other guy on the field with him, the majority of the time. But this is what I tell people though, because a lot of people are out on Jalen, and a lot of skeptical of LVE, but it seems like a lot of people want them to be bad, and I don't get that.
Yeah. Preach to him.
I don't understand how. We saw how good they were together when they were at their best. They were the best duo in the league the first year they played together. The better they are, the better defense is going to be. If you got LVE getting back, getting over the injury bug, Jalen Smith getting his confidence back, then on top of that you have Parsons, you have Neal and Cox, in your cover. You have one of the deepest groups in the entire league. So let's kind of get away from the wanting Jalen and LVE to be bad, because I don't want them to be bad at all. I want them to be great. The better they are, the better our defense.
Man,
so but it seems like want them to be bad, and I don't understand that. Like why would you want your players to be bad? I don't care who it is on our team. What position? I don't want any player to be bad.
Right.
But it seems like with those two, especially Jalen.
For me, I think Jalen, they had Cowboys Nation just wanted to pick. All right, they needed a face for the 2020 season. The quarterback was out, so they couldn't give it to the quarterback. Because the quarterback usually will get that work. That was really a lot of what Romo had to go through with 8-8 seasons. Well, Dak was here, so we can't pin it on Dak.
Mm-hmm.
And they're looking around, and Jalen's having a good time and swiping and doing whatever. And I think they just they attached the 20 season to Jalen and just think he's done. But I'm like, look, if you put him in the right position, and defensively last year underneath Nolan was terrible across the board. It wasn't just that Jalen or whatever it is you didn't like about Jalen. It was just across the board, man. For me personally, I've never seen just so many blown, just wide open guys, that really wasn't on Jalen, that's on the back end, just like what is going on here? Now it got better towards the end of the season or whatnot. But I'm with you. Yeah, one guys to fail, definitely not that, because we kind of, as frail as we were at linebacker last year, it really feels like linebacker could be a very big strength for this defense if they come through. LVE is starting to flash again in camp. Okay, I mean, we're seeing some things from LVE starting to flash. And I'm with you. See, me on the Parsons, it was the off the field stuff I was worried about with Parsons. And we didn't see him for a whole year. It was something weird. We know the lights are bigger here in Dallas than any other place. So I'm like, I don't know how he's going to be able to handle it. He's walked through that door. He's done it, and the night we drafted him, I said, look, I know they wanted the cornerback, but you can't. Look, as much as I'll bang on Stephen Jones for not being active in free agency or acquiring talent that we would like to see them go do,
right?
My man literally traded back 2 spots, picked up an extra third, which turned into Nashawn Wright, and picked up arguably the best defensive player of the draft. Now back to what you said, there are guys out there off ball that don't like it. And I understand the analytics of that. However, if you have a defense coordinator that's smart, and looks like Dan Quinn's kind of smart now, this is one thing I like, and that's why I said Dan Quinn's probably the biggest free agent signing we got. Don't just sit him at linebacker and leave him there. Move him. Let him play outside and go rush the quarterback. Let him blitz up the middle. Let him do all kind of. If you're going to make, because I was big on Joker. I was very big on the Joker from Notre Dame. I'm like, look, don't just use him at linebacker or safety. Make him a weapon. It's almost just like he's the front 7 guy of how Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, is on the back half for teams. He's a safety by trade, but he does so many. He's a weapon in the secondary. He's in the slot. He's blitzing over here. He's doing a lot of different things, not just sitting back playing single high safety and stuff. And if you could do the same thing with, Parsons, who's a legit 4-3 guy, not the fake. There's a lot of fake 40s this year. He's a legit 4-3 guy with a little bit of bend to him, who being a former running back. That gets you excited. So I'm with you. I want Jalen and LVE to be fantastical over the rainbow grade, because this linebacker core makes it that much better. It makes this team better.
Yeah, I mean, just think about a scenario where you can have, Parsons rushing from the edge, and then you can have, maybe throwing a guy like Cox on a third down, because he's excellent in pass coverage. Like, the thing about Parsons is he's a chess piece that you can move. And it also allows other guys to get on the field, because he can line up so many different areas. So like people don't really understand what a luxury it is to have a guy like that has so many strengths. Because I mean, it's just, man, like I'm actually getting goosebumps talking about Parsons, because see me, like I was more of a J.C. Horn, a little bit over Patrick Surtain guy, and I really thought that he was probably going to be the pick. But when I was actually at work and I was listening to the draft on my headphones while I was working, and when Carolina took J.C. Horn, I said Denver's going to take Surtain. I knew it. I got a real bad feeling about it. And so when they took him, and I saw that we only traded back to 12, I'm like, well, Michael Parsons is still in play. And when we picked him, of course, there was the uproar. There were, of course, the off the ball linebacker, haters and all that. I kept telling people, I was like, that's not all he is. Like, watch the film. He does way more than that. He rushes up the middle. He can come off the edge. Like, it's everything, and I think once he gets his pass coverage skills down a little bit more, like, he's going to be just ridiculous. Michael Parsons.
It reminds me maybe of remember Bowman, ex-Penn State guy, played out there for San Francisco, Navarro Bowman. I mean, I think he's that, but more athletic, which is exciting, for Parsons, that is. It's again, it's having the right kind of coordinator to take advantage of that guy, not just stick him at linebacker, which we're seeing, not regurgitating all that. But I wanted to bring up, especially with that Leo position at that 20%, and you get him in standing on that Leo position on the other side of the edge and let him come forward, man. And then look, and even taking the Jalen Smith that strong side because he's going to be on the opposite side, right? Well, if he's lined up right there with D-Law, you can't double team all three, my friend. You can't double team all three. And if you want to send all three, boy, it's a problem, right? Shout out to my guy Matt O. Dropping some of that knowledge there. So yeah, man, linebacker core, I'm excited about. We'll kind of bring it down to the Francis Bernards, who has a hamstring injury, kind of puts him behind the 8 ball a little bit. Luke Gifford out there as well. One of the guys that I do like, who's a undrafted free agent, but don't know how many undrafted guys are going to make it. My guy from A&M. Dadgummit. I forgot his dadgum name. But outside of that, do you think a Luke Gifford is going to make this team, or do you think Francis Bernard still got a chance? Bradley Anand, that DN/linebacker role. It's competition's tight over there, sir.
Yeah, man, and see, and
thank you, Ninja, Anthony Hines, Matt on, and Anthony Hines, excuse me, from A&M. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm a big Bradley Anand guy, so I'm really hoping that he shows improved and he gets him a roster spot. As far as Gifford and Francis, oh man, it's so thick in that linebacker room right now. It is. It's like hard. It's kind of like being in the airplane. When you sit down, everybody's trying to get their
excuse me,
get their arm position. It's like
don't hit that recline on me.
People everywhere. Yeah, and then with friends getting injured, it's just. I don't know, man. As far as old boy, the undrafted guy, I just think it's gonna be really, really difficult.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Yeah, I know it's gonna be tough. And a lot of that's because you've added 8 draft picks defensively to this team. So if you're out of 11, and if you're an undrafted guy and you're in the front 7, then that's where the majority of those 8 picks were. You're in trouble. I mean, you got a couple of corners in there, and it's just gonna be hard, man. It's gonna be hard for an undrafted guy to really crack this squad.
Yeah, and then you have 2 guys that are in your position group that are fighting for really their jobs, and that's Jalen and LVE, and LVE looks like he's got the memo, like he's he's looking good against the run. He had a couple of good snaps in the pass. I saw down the goal line. So LVE he's the one out of the 2 that I think if I had to pick one that, let's say like they decided to move on from one of them, I think they would keep LVE and maybe move on to Jalen. Right. Because I think LVE healthy, I just think he's a slightly better player than Jalen Smith.
And it's not undrafted guy. Dan Quinn didn't really just give, Jalen the most glowing review in his post. I mean, in his conference. It wasn't.
No, he didn't.
Wasn't that he said nothing bad, but did you pick that up as well with how Quinn was talking about Jalen a little bit?
Because what he said was he's had some plays. He's been whatever, look fast or whatever. I'm like, well, some plays that's not good enough for somebody that has a big role. Like he has to be that every play. Like some plays is not good enough. Because I mean, there's a bunch of guys in the NFL who look good some plays. I mean, a dead clock is right twice a day. You know what I'm saying?
No, right? Yeah, no doubt.
So
no doubt.
Yeah. Whenever the tweet came out, there were a lot of people like, oh man, Jalen. Oh man, I said no. You gotta read into it. He said he's had some plays. Some is not good enough. Especially for a guy that's making $13 million a year. You can't get some of the time. You got to get all of it.
Yeah. Got to be that guy for sure. No ifs, ands, or buts. But yeah, linebacker crew. Obviously, linebacker crew is very thick right now. We got to wait, and we get some. Look, right, we got a game coming up. We're going to get some of these things kind of settled out. From where we are right now. But let's get to some guys. Some other guys are having a pretty good camp as well. That guy, Randy Gregory. Jeez Louise, 14 sacks. I said it out the gate. I'm sticking to it.
Randy.
14 sacks for Mr. Gregory. I mean, it's sunshine and rainbows.
Beating that drum.
I have. I'm going to keep beating the drum. I've been a big proponent of Gregory in these groups. Before I was ever on air, before I was ever doing shows, I battled with people. They want to get him out of here. I was like, no, y'all know this ain't the same kind of situation with him. We're going to unhash all that here. That's either you know. We're not going to unhash everything. But for him to be back
Yeah, right. If you under.
If you know, you know. If not, then this might not be the section for you. That's okay. Hit fast forward. We'll talk some more good stuff. But for watch where he's at.
I've had way too many battles.
Yeah, from where he was at. See how well he played last year. Even talk about wanting more snaps. And obviously they asked Mike McCarthy about that as well. And McCarthy said, "Hey man, I wanted to say that. I wanted to say that. But
right.
To watch him transcend into this year, even from what he was able to do last year, now be a part of the council to speak for the players and have that honor bestowed upon him. To watch him not only flash in that we knew he could pass rush, but watching different things about covering the flats a little bit, getting some batted balls. Man, I tell you what, there's a lot to be excited for. But for me personally, Star, man, I am over the moon about what's going on with Randy Gregory.
I'll tell you something, man. Randy Gregory is my favorite player on defense. I think he's the most natural pass rusher that we have. That speed and that bend off the edge. I mean, he had a rep against Lyle Collins. He made Lyle Collins like he just left at LSU like yesterday. So fast, like it's like ridiculous, man. And the thing about Gregory is like people gotta remember. He had, what was it, 3.5 sacks last year. And 2 years before that, he had 6. But he's done both of those on limited snaps. So he, imagine if he gets a full season as a starter. He just, from where he came from, battling his mental health issues and, Amazon and, things like that. And to finally to where people really believe in him and see what he is. I think, me and you and, James, we've talked on Twitter because I actually had a prediction post that he was going to get 10 sacks. And, it was like a bold prediction post. And James was like, hey, man, like, he's going to get 10. And then you came in with the 14. So I've been watching him lately. I'm like, man, I think I might have to bump that number up a little bit. Like, I don't know. Like, because he's looking like, the only person look like they can really stop him is on Tyron.
Right.
Like if you're not Tyron, you can't really Gregory right now. Of course, you've seen the play when Tyron threw him with one arm and
he got it. But it's Tyron though. It's okay. Yeah. We facing no Tyrons every week.
Yeah. He has a family, Tyron.
He has a family, he's a father. Man. Yeah.
Remember that.
Wow. Hey, I like this right here from Detail. It says Randy Urban Neville, and we're going to talk about Neville here in just a second too, because man, that's another guy I'm in love with from his year 1 to year 2. I'm super ecstatic about. D-Lar could be a streak. Man, we got to watch it come together, no doubt. I definitely agree with that. But the biggest thing about this is when you get Neville and Urban in that thing, or if it's Neville and Bohanna, and they're getting you that push. Those quarterbacks they got to spin out. They can't come forward and get away from Randy and D-Law. Yeah. So that's the exciting thing about it, and exactly what we're doing.
Very
you know what I mean?
Very much.
Yeah, and so
I actually wrote a piece a little while ago about how important Urban's role is. Because he's been, a really good guy, stopping the run, as a one tech. And I said, man, if he's drawing double teams and he's getting, guys like, D-Law and Randy Gregory, a lot of one-on-ones on the outside, you got to understand that's not allowing offensive linemen to get to the second level, which means LVE, Jalen Smith, they're free to run and make plays. And the quarterback's number one nemesis when it comes to getting pressure is not from the outside, it's from the middle.
Yep.
Because see, whenever you get pressure from the outside, you can step up in the pocket. When you get pressure from the middle, sit and duck. You got Randy coming off one edge, you got D-Law coming off the other. You're gonna have Michael Parsons flying around. So if they can get to where they're getting that pressure up the middle, man, like that's really going to help. So I think Brent Urban, man, being that run stuffer, and he's been one of the best in the league. He was the third best interior rush guy as far as grade, between Pro Football Focus last year. So him and my draft guy, Quentin Bohanna, and people killed me whenever speaking of Bohanna and Osei, because I did a mock draft and I mock draft Osei to us in the 3rd round at 75, and I mock draft Bohanna to us in the 6th round, but I had him at 27 instead of 192, and people killed me for that mock. And I told them, I said, Bohanna is a space.
Yeah.
He's a space eater, man. If you can get him at that true nose and Urban at that one causing havoc, and then you got Neville Gallimore, who I think can make a year 2 jump too. The interior of that defensive line is the key to me, because we were second worst in the league against the run. If we can get those guys in the middle, pushing that, getting moving that line, keeping those guards and centers from reaching that second. People don't realize how important that is. How important it is for you to be good in your interior. Because when they get to the second level and they're getting the LVE and Jalen, that's when you give up 109 yards a game rushing.
Yeah, and I mean, that was the biggest thing. Hey, Big Game James is in the middle. What's going on? Check your inbox on Facebook, by the way, brother.
Big Game James, what's up, homie?
Yeah. The thing for me is, and coming out of college when it was LVE, I was like, man, he don't get off blocks. Now, as long as he's free and he's clean, he'll do work. But he has a problem getting off blocks. And right back to what you're saying to co-sign that. If you keep LVE clean, like the video clip that we showed them on goal line, and he shot out of a cannon and cut that guy off before he got in the end zone, you can get that out of him. But you got to keep him clean, and you got to have those guys in the middle to do that.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, and also the thing with Bohanna, I wanted Bohanna. I wasn't sure. We was going to find out if they want to make that philosophical change or not, right? And to see him get in here was huge from a philosophical change. That let me know, we're doing things a little bit differently with this defense than we've seen, 10 or so plus years, so on and so forth, and all that. And I also like too, because I talked a lot about Urban as soon as we signed. I ran right to the tape, man. I watched the tape from Urban, and I'm like, oh yeah, I said Cowboys actually gonna love this guy, because it's not that he does the dirty work. He likes to do the dirty work. And there's a difference in a guy that gets you a double team. Yeah, there's a difference in a guy. Well, I can get you a double team, but if it's a guy that loves doing that kind of work, that's a different kind of guy. He's wired a little bit differently.
Saying it, like, I love this.
Right. Yeah, and and the great thing about that was for me is what I thought was that I noticed he was just around third team, maybe second team. Okay, no pass. All of a sudden the pads came on. All of a sudden, here comes Urban with the first team. All of a sudden, when them pads hit, I said, that's a little conserve the big man a little bit, and move forward from that. So I'm definitely excited to see that play out and how that line works.
And to add to that, people got to remember that he has the ability to rush from the edge too. So now of course he'll be programmed using. But a guy like that, if you can slide aside, you can have a case where you can have him and Bohanna on the field at the same time. You put Bohanna next to Gallimore, and have him rushing from the outside. So it's just so many things that I think that we can do with a lot of these guys on defense. Him, Micah, and also I think a player that people are not talking about a lot. Speaking of, you brought the Leo position is Terrell Basham.
Yeah, man. He got that 2-year deal for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. See, and that's why I told people, remember when we sign free agents, a lot of time the vets is 1-year deals. He got a 2-year deal, and I think that he's a really underrated guy. He's a real nice depth piece to have behind Randy Gregory, and of course you got Chauncey Golson, who he's got the hammy thing going right now. If I'm not
mistaken, slowly working himself in. Exactly.
Yeah, slowly working himself in. He's another Swiss Army knife guy. Because he actually rushed from the 3 technique.
3 tech, yep.
Age 2.
3 and 5 all day long. 3 and 5 all day long for him. Almost kind of that Michael Bennett mode. If you think about the Seattle defense, kind of that Michael Bennett mode. I can slide you inside. I can slide you outside. I can do some things with you.
Yeah, and that's what I think is so exciting about this defense for Dan Quinn. I know he's like a kid in a candy store right now. Look at all these goodies that I can play with, and he's so hands-on. I mean, you see him at the practice with Mike and with Randy. Like, he's really hands-on with those 2 guys a lot. Like, he spends a lot of time with those guys one-on-one, which shows me what he has planned for both of them. And, not like last year when, of course, they seemed to not from Marlon Smith, even though when you look at the last – when you look at teams that, they played in, Randy Gregory was he produced more. He had more tackles. He had 3.5 sacks to his 1. And he did that on less snaps, like significantly less snaps. So, having people believe in him to see what he is, man. Like, I'm so excited for Randy.
Big facts.
Because he's been one of my guys that got drafted.
Me too. I'm right there with you, man. He might be an ugly baby, but dadgummit, he's our baby, and that's where I'm at with it. Shout out to Jerry Jones for the old Jerry's all good for one of the good old one-liners. My guy David's in the building says, so the question for you, Nix, what do you think the identity of this defense is going to be? I mean, it's too early for that. I mean, we got airplane mode, aka no reception. We got these different things and whatnot. I don't know where they're going to be. Here's what I know: the speed of this defense is up. I think that's easy to see. Would you agree on that, Star Conscience, on the speed or no?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, you look at Micah. Micah ran 4.39. Jabril Cox is fast. I think Kevin Joseph ran a 4.4.
Right.
So we got a lot of speed that came in. So, and matter of fact, didn't Nashon Wright run like a sub 4 or 5 or something?
Yeah, I think also, and of course, and Gregory even more into it. We know he's got that first step speed as well. So yeah, no, this to put a hat on something right now, Norton, I would say fast and ferocious. Is what it looks like he's trying to build. Fast and meaningful, right? So, but again, early to tell. We're gonna let it come through. We're gonna let about what Scott's in this thing. Super Bowl, boy, we're in the honeymoon season, y'all. Well, before them stats count, boy, we're in that honeymoon season. I do love the honeymoon season. Get your Kool-Aid ready, get it blue, red, whatever you like. Pour it on up. Now, before we get off this defense line, we're talking about these guys over here in training camp that are doing well. How about that boy Neville Gallimore? Hey. Whew. Hey, the man. Hold on. My guy, Big Game's in the building. The Gala Monster. The Gala Monster, as he calls him. Man, I tell you what. Talk about the right temperament, if you will. Let's forget what he did. He won the workout, award and everything. We're gonna put that aside, man. We're just gonna talk about the temperament of what he wrote down, what he what his wanting to be in this league, the wanting to be great. He's not worried about just one snap or 1 year. He's like, hey, I'm looking to put this resume and get to these bowls and do these things. And man, looking at that transformation. I tell this a lot of times, like, judge rookies, that's fine. But when you let them get into an actual NFL offseason and see that, you see it with Lamb even and how he looks as compared to year one. You see that from that year 1 to that year 2, and they grow into the NFL body. Man, Gallimore, brother, I am super excited for Gallimore. How about you?
Man, let me tell you something. Randy Gregory is my favorite, of course, but I am big. I love defensive tackles.
Oh, yeah.
I love the
bring the fatties. Where's my boy Mark Cantor? Yeah, we love the fatties. Bring them in.
I love the big uglies, man, because those are, I mean, as you very well know, you've been watching football long enough. You win and lose on both sides. And that was last year. I mean, we were bad on the offensive line and we were bad on the defensive line. That's when you go 6-6-10. You know what I'm saying? Like, we couldn't. So Neville Gallimore, he's so quick off the line. He's violent. He unlike LVE, he gets off blocks. And he gets off blocks very violently. He's very good against the run. He's not a big sack guy, but we don't really need him to be a big sack.
Right.
He's just another one of those big. Yeah, I mean, if you can get me between that 4 and 6 range, I'll be good because I got double digits. I'm calling it right now. D Law will have double digit sacks again this year.
Let's go.
And I really believe that when you got Urban and all those guys calling those double teams up front, the more one-on-ones him and Randy get. I mean, I think we got 2 outside guys that are going to get double digits. So when you got around 20 sacks coming from the edge, all you got to do is give me a little 3 here from this guy, 4 here from that, maybe a little 5 here and there, and we'll be good. Neville Gallimore, thinking about him, not only is he talented, but and what people don't realize with athletes, a lot of it is the want to. The want to be great, the dedication to be great. And he has it. Like he doesn't want to just be a guy. Like he wants to be one of the focal points. And I mean, when you see him on the field, he's just huge. And the thing is, he's big, but he carries it well. Like he's light on his feet to be that big. And that's what I love about him, man. I think Neville Gallimore is going to start putting his name as one of those better one of the better young defensive tackles. I don't want to set his ceiling, too high yet, right? Because he's in year 2.
Out the door. Yeah,
but but I think he has a really good chance with the way he's developing. I mean, I just saw last year. He had an up and down year, but he had a couple games, man. Like, especially that
you can see it.
That Pittsburgh game, man. He looked really good. And remember against San Francisco, he looked really good in that possession down in the red zone, man. He just and thing about him, people don't remember. He actually played 1 tech and 3 tech too.
He did both, right?
So So I mean, of course, he's going to be primary 3. Right. I'm just saying, like, he just gets back to what I was saying earlier about all these guys that have all these different skill sets, and there's so much that Dan can do with these guys. So Neville Gallimore, I think he's going to be, because I'm actually thinking about writing a piece about a few year 2 guys that are on their way to having some jumps from their rookie year, even though they had good rookie years. So
there you go.
Neville Gallimore.
Well, I'll be on the lookout for that bad boy. By the way, if y'all going to look, I know I do that out there, the Fast and Ferocious. Y'all, hey, just give me my flowers. That's all I'm asking. If you decide to run with that, just give me my flowers. Again, in the interchangeable pieces like you were talking about, right? Why he can slide over, and the old school the NASCAR package. If you want to get into some of that, and if you kick like a guy like our guy Chauncey down to the inside next to him and different things and these passing downs, or hey, you kick maybe kick D-Law down and you put the super rookie on the edge over there in thank God Parsons, dear God. Yes, just like you said, kid in the candy store, if you will, for Mr. Dan Quinn and what he's doing. So super excited about what they can do. But over to the opposite side of the ball, I'll touch on the tight end. First and foremost, Dalton Schultz is not going to go quality into the night, ladies and gentlemen, is what we have learned. Little snippet on him. He actually spent the offseason studying tight ends versus Dan Quinn's defense in order to understand how to practice well against it. I said, oh, that's cerebral. I like it. I like that. So I like that cerebral. And so he's obviously saying, hey, young Buck Jordan, I know you got paid and whatnot, but I kind of liked getting these reps last year. And he is definitely not relinquishing the one at all. Obviously, Jarwin's showing as he's coming back from the injury, he's flashed a little bit here and there. Maybe the big story is the year 2 tight end from Michigan. And some of the reports coming out on McKinnon a little bit. And, I saw him beat Jabril Cox for a touchdown. And there's some whispers and some rumblings that, hey, this kid might have it. So interesting stuff there. What have you heard, and what are your thoughts on the tight ends here at camp so far?
Well, like I said, I'm a part of the Jarwin hive. I really
Josh getting in the building.
Yeah, but at the same time, what I saw from Dalton Schultz last year, I was like, it looks like we have 2 1s. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's a great problem to have. I mean, you put yourself in a situation where you can run a lot of 2 tight end sets, and I think that's what they're going to do this year. I think that they're going to have them both on the field at the same time, and just really utilize both of their strengths, because they both have things that they can do well. I don't think Schultz is that he's a necessarily a great blocker or anything, but I mean, you got to understand.
I mean, he's better than Jarwin though blocking. And there, right? There's a little bit of things better than Jarwin. So it's almost like, to me, right? Schultz is more of your traditional but good. I'm not saying he's Jason Witten. He's kind of a Jason Witten mode kind of guy. And Jaws is more of your Kelsey mode kind of guy, right? Attack them seams, get downfield. Not that he can't block. He's a willing blocker. He's definitely a willing blocker. And not that Jason was the greatest blocker of all time. He was willing, but Schultz seems a little bit better. Like Schultz a little bit more traditional for a starter. And then you got your playmaker. It's kind of what I look at him as.
Yeah, and just to step into that role, right off the bat, basically. I mean, Jarwin went down the first game, and then he comes in. He catches 60-something passes on the 4th tight end in the team history to do that, and he looked like somebody that could start for. He looked like a seasoned NFL starter last year.
Yeah, and we're like, where's this guy?
Yeah, and I actually just wrote a piece not last week for Cowboys Wire about how he's not relinquishing that spot to Jarwin. Like, Jarwin's gonna have to take it. And like, this is like I said, like you said, just because you got paid that money doesn't mean I'm gonna bow down. Like, you're gonna have to take it from me.
Right.
He has a lot of good skills, man. He has really good hands. I don't think people give him credit for how good his hands are. He has really good hands. He runs really smooth routes. He looks really technically sound. Like I said, not the best blocker, but might be better than Jaron. So, I love competition, man. So when I saw him coming on last year and knowing that Jaron went back, I was like, man, to see those two battling out.
Yeah, I mean, it's something, right? And that's a change. I mean, from look, and not to bag on the previous era of what was here. Calling. I'm not trying to get to call it cupcake or all that, but we got to camp. We knew who was going to do what, who was going to be where, and that's what it is. And definitely, if we can put anything going into year 2 of the Mike McCarthy realm or being at the helm, he believes in competition. He's going to find ways to create competition, and I think that's a winning formula when it comes to the NFL. I'm sorry, look, we like our guys, but you got to do what you got to do. And I'm with you on that 12 personnel, getting them both in there, especially that 25-yard line in, and be able to just really attack the middle of that field and ease up that outside for whether it's Cooper or Gallup or CD. Yeah, I'm with you. But once we get down inside that we get to that green zone, I ain't calling it the red zone no more. I'm calling it the green zone because we're going to get more touchdhdowns this round. Yeah, money time.
No more Dallas field goal, boys.
Yeah, yeah, none of that, please. We got our kickers got a back issue right now. I don't even want to talk about that, but if we can, right there with those two guys in there, and let them go to work, man. I think it makes things a lot easier for this offense to punch. We're good. We can punch outside the 20, but we get that 20. We know it's kind of a bit of a slow grind. But I think with the two tight ends that you talked about, getting them on the field, I think that's big. And I think a rejuvenated Zeke, because before we pivot over there, I like this from here.
That's what I've been waiting for you to admit right there.
We got to bid the corner. I got to slow cook it. I got to get the people in here, keep them around. We can't give it all to them out the gate. They're going to be gone on us.
Not going to bend the corner fast like Gregory. I got you.
Right. I'm a slow motion. I'm a slow motion like Dorrance Armstrong, okay? But I do like this right here. From my guy Mendoza said, McKinnon push and sprinkle out. Yeah, definitely. Man, McKinnon's having an awesome count. I know it's kind of bubbling and down because of the two guys in front of him, but he's walked through this second year. He's another one of those guys in the second year, taking a little bit of a jump here, and I don't think Sprinkle's going to make it either. Thoughts on that? Do you think Sprinkle's going to make it, or do you think it's going to be McKinnon? I mean, it's the key four.
I actually thought he was until I actually thought he was until I seen McKinnon. So I mean, I don't know what their thought process is about keeping 4 tight ends. Maybe they look at the fact that they're going to have they want 2 solid guys behind
special teams. Maybe
Schultz. I'm not really sure. Yeah, it's a special team piece. I'm not sure. And I had Sprinkle. I looked at him as maybe a guy that could do something because I thought he was kind of a wild card. Like this guy might be able to do some things, but like I said, last few days, McKinnon's looked good, or he had that touchdown against Cox in coverage. So I don't know, man. If I had to pick between the two right now, I would say McKinnon has a little bit of leg up on Sprinkle.
But let's go. With that being said, enough of the tight end talk. I was a former tight end, so I like to talk tight ends. Let's get over here to Zeke. Let's get over here to Zeke in this strong camp. Man, oh man! As excited as I am about Randy Gregory, ooh. And Dak being Zeke back and everything. Here's my one thing I've always said. Is that okay? I love it. Good. Here's my one thing about Zeke, and I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna get this one thing off. My biggest thing about Zeke that I've talked about for a while, last year before, is I was waiting for him to do the things that pro athletes need to do. And what I mean by that is invest money into your body, a la your LeBron Jameses of the world. Now, Tom Brady might not be the greatest athlete, but he puts that money in, and that's the longevity side for him, right? And I've been waiting for him to come through and walk through the door and do those things because I do believe, as good as he has been, there was always another level that Zeke could get to. And seeing him do that this year, man, look, you got some goosies earlier. I got a little bit of goosies over here, sir. I got some because I'm like, okay, it's clicked for him. He's like, look, all this go party, you're a young man. Go do your thing. I'm not mad at you that. Just take care of your body the right way. And the fact that he's put that time and that money into it, gets me super excited. Now, that's all I wanted to say about the Zeke situation. I'll let you say some of that, and we'll talk about some of the on the field. Go right ahead, sir.
No, let's say Zeke is my favorite guy. And last few years, I've just been I mean, look, you know, like 2020, it was easy for him to be a punching bag. Let's just call it what it is. You know, he
fumbled the ball, right?
You know, he tied a career high with 6 fumbles. You know, he failed to reach 1,000 yards for the time in a full season, but he got to tell the truth about Ezekiel. Now, his first 3 years speak for themselves. 2 rushing titles, and the 1 year he didn't, he led the league in yards per game. This is what I've always has made me cringe when people talk about Zeke, is the first year of his contract. Oh, well, you know, he was in decline. He held out. I said, people, do y'all not realize the season that he had? He played with basically a 5,000-yard quarterback, 2 1,100-yard receivers, and a third receiver that had over 800 yards. And what did he do? He finished 4th in rushing. He was 4 touchdowns. He was 2nd in all-purpose yards to McCaffrey, and he was tied with Chubb with the most 100-yard games with 7. Only bad season he's ever had was 2020. And there were also other circumstances that played into it. You got an offensive line that put out 13 different lineups. You got no Dak. I mean, you know, Dak not being there means you got no threat from the passing game, which allowed teams to really key in and load, you know, the box against Zeke. You know, he also dealt with COVID. You don't know how that affected his body. He had a calf injury at the end of the year, and he still was 21 yards away from 1,000. And now you look at what he did this year with the running back guru Josh Hicks. Man, these workouts that he's doing, working on his agility, his quickness, and also if you've seen some of them, he's even had some drills where he's carrying the ball and he's getting hit, and he's got to keep his balance while also keeping his feet moving. So, like you said, man, see him in his body. And he talked about his chef and how his chef has really, you know, helped him with his diet. And I think that was the last thing that he had to do. Like, you know, you're a great athlete, you're in shape, but really invest in what your big tool is, and that's your body as an athlete. Your body, everything.
Big facts.
And the way he's done that, and he looks like he's on a mission to show people that, you know, y'all talk about these best running backs, y'all ain't mention me no. Like I'm oh yeah, you know, and Ezekiel. Oh yeah, we can throw him in there too. He's kind of an and guy now. I'm like, no. Now you got a healthy offensive line. You know, you got your top 3 guys. Remember, y'all, they missed 36 games last year.
Big fact.
36 games. You got Dak missed 11. All those guys are back healthy. You got CD that's about to take a year or 2 jump. No, Gallup's playing for a new deal. Amari's going to be Amari. Like, all these things around him are going to allow him to be just absolutely a stud. He was in my bold prediction. He's 2. I got Zeke at 1,500.
Okay, 15. I know we did the over-under. I think we had the over-under. I think Matto put up an over-under of 14, I think is what it was. Or was it no, it might have been 12. I forgot what it is, man. But anyways, I definitely took the over, you know, especially with the extra game. Although we'll be so far ahead, maybe want to play that game. But with that being said, man, as you're seeing now, we're going to translate that to what we've seen in the camp so far. Man, that jump cut, I've seen it a handful of times. I'm like, there's that jump cut. I said, oh my goodness. Watching him work in the passing game even more.
Edge once.
Yes. What's going on, Seneca? I mean, he is.
Speaking of the passing game, I mean, cut you off, but
no, go for it.
I know you saw the play when they were. I know you saw the play when they were, which they should have done a whole lot more last year when they put Tony Pollard out in the slot and they put him in motion, and Dak hit Zeke down the seam for a touchdown. I'm like, get both of these guys on the field at the same time.
Yes,
please.
Yes,
please get at the same time. And like McCarthy's talking about how they want to kind of monitor his snaps a little bit. I actually got a piece coming out about that tomorrow, I think, if I'm not mistaken. You know, of course, now there's going to be games when, you know, Dak in the passing game, they're not going to be, you know, putting up, you know, 40 points and he's going to be throwing for 400 yards. Some games, that's just the nature of the NFL. Like, everything's not going to work every week. In some games, he's going to have to carry the ball 25, 30 times. Like, that's just the way it goes. And but you do need to have those games where he maybe gets 18 to 20 to give him 5 or 6 catches.
There you go.
And people are like, whenever I talk about 1,500 yards, oh, he hasn't done this his rookie year. I said, you got to remember, his career average is 89.9 yards.
Do the math, sir, on him. Do the math on him. Come on, Conscience. Come on, do that math for him, Conscience.
If he gets average for his career, that's around 15-30 for 17 games. Now, let's say we clinch and he doesn't play one game, and you take 89 off of that. That's still over 1,400.
Yeah, that part.
So if he doesn't need to run for 100 yards a game. People gotta realize unless you're a Barry Sanders who averaged literally a zillion yards a season. He averaged 1,500 yards for 10 years.
Right.
But most guys, even the best, they average around 85 to 90 range yards per game. So he's actually up there with some of the greatest ever as far as the average. I think Emmett averaged around 87. I think Walter Payton was around 88. So he's actually slightly ahead of pace. If he just gets his average for his career, he's gonna have a great season.
Exactly.
So let me, I've been telling people for 2 years, I don't know why they want to throw the dirt on this guy. And then as soon as they saw him training in the offseason, I think that's what got a lot of people more rejuvenated with him, because like you said, they saw how he paid to his body. And I think that, kind of veered people away from what they thought about him in 2019 when he held out and people thought he didn't care and he was selfish. You see what he's invested into himself, into his shape, his diet. He's ready to really kill. I think Dak being back also, a big thing with him. He knows if I get a full season with Dak.
And let's touch this for a second. Something. Now, this is going to be a little off kilter, guys. Bear with us. Sometimes, I know we're talking about camp and whatnot, but this matters in camp as well. I do want to touch this because I've talked about this with some different people. And since I do have the star conscience here, the conscience of the star, I do want to get his take on this. Yeah. See, man, I think this. I really do. I think a lot of people are pissed off in that building. I think they felt like they lost the season last year. And I think with Dak coming back, and now what we look at is Dak, Zeke, Amari, even though they're not 30, right? But they're the older veterans, hey, we've been here for some years. They're understanding, hey, man, this ain't going to be forever. We have to do something. And, Dak spoke about this for the contract at the press conference. He said, we got to change the culture, right? He spoke a lot about culture. And I think the one thing for me is I've sat back and I've watched and I'm looking whether Zeke in shape, right, and doing those things, putting that money, because I want Zeke here for the long haul. I don't want Zeke going after this contract. I want Zeke to be a Cowboy for life. The way to do that is to take care of his body the right way. That gets me excited. I look at the work that we've seen from Gallimore and what he's talking about. I look at the work that CeeDee Lamb's put in, and you see it in his body, right? And I'm just looking at all these different things of what Dak's done, and right, because you had La'el Collins, best shape of his career. What was he doing? Well, Dak was in-house all year working out. He's in there now. He's got a little fat six-pack, right? And things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And these are the things that people don't understand. Whenever I say I'll take Dak over everybody, these are the things that Dak can do for your organization that permeates down. And it moves forward. And that's the thing that gets me excited. So I think all this kind of factors into everything. What do you think about that? The Dak factor, the injury, the understanding. Do you think that's why we're seeing so much from these guys that have been here for a while and what they're doing?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that, they all believed that they were going to have a really good year last year. And then it literally got taken from them, a month after the season. Just like that. I mean, I think in the back of their mind, they knew it's going to be a struggle for the rest of the year without him, because he's just different. Not only is he one of the best quarterbacks in the league, it's just having him around, every day, that was going to make the season a lot tougher. So, and, touching back on what you said about how it's not going to last forever. I mean, they've had a couple of opportunities already in the Dak Z era, 2016, number one seed, 13-3. Didn't win a playoff game. In 2018, I actually thought that they were going to be a sleeper, because when I saw what they did to Seattle, I was actually at, the game. They held that number one rushing attack to 73 yards amongst 4 ball carriers. And I really thought that we were going to make a run then, but you just don't know how many more years you get like that, because it's been off on. 17 was a bad year. 19 was a bad year. And then, you look at 2020, it had a potential to be good, but, just the injury bug hit us, too hard. But I think last year, a lot of those guys felt like they were going to be really good. And then with the injury bug hit, I think that made all of them key in, like, look, we got to really, really start investing not only in the team, but in ourselves. Like I said, with Zeke taking care of his body. Lyle's in great shape. Tyron Smith is a side boy. I know you see him without his shirt. 308 pounds. I mean, he
built
like
different.
Carved out a stone.
Yeah,
built a whole
different.
And especially a guy like him, who's been in the league for a decade, he didn't know how much longer he has, especially with the injuries he's had, unfortunately. So, yeah, man, I really think that, they got punched in the mouth last year with injuries. And it really let them realize, like, look, do not take this for granted. Dak, and I think they saw the way Dak came back, losing his blood pressure and dealing with the contract stuff, and how he didn't let nothing stop him. He was ahead of schedule with his injury. I mean, he was even at practice at the end of last year, taking his crutches off and walking up to Zeke and giving him hugs at practice. Like, Dak, man, he's like, I don't think words can describe how much people feed off of him. And I think that he's been very key for Zeke. Because as you see, like, they're basically like best friends. And I think how mild-mannered he is and how down-to-earth he is and how serious he takes it, I think that's rubbed off on Zeke. Mm-hmm. Like, I really believe that. I can't speak for him personally. I've never talked to Zeke or Dak. But I think the bond he has with Dak has been really important for him, not just as a player, but in his life. Like, seeing like, hey, like, we got to take this. I have to take this more serious, like my career. And like you said, the way he's taking care of his body. But, all these guys, we've seen so many guys that they're doing a lot of things differently than they have in the past, getting into better shape and, eating different. And I mean, you look at CD. I mean, I saw a clip of him in the offseason. He was running routes in the sand.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's just, I mean, and speaking of videos, I mean, look at the videos of CD of how he works on, getting off the line and like his first steps. And, it's just, man, it's a lot of excitement, man. And I think a lot of it is because they felt like they could have been good last year, and just everything hit them. Everything that could have went wrong last year. But I think they're healthy. Their culture's changed. The energy at training camp. I mean, like, everybody looks energetic and upbeat. Everybody's flying around, and everybody's competing. Yeah. And I think that starts with that. Today, after practice, he was the last guy on the field running sprints.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is, the $160 million man that just came back from a gruesome ankle injury. He's out there running full speed, full pads in the California sun doing sprints.
Solo.
Like, that's a domino effect that trickles down to your team. Like, look, if our leader's taking it that serious, we have to.
You know what?
Follow his lead. And
I'm gonna double down on that. He can't throw the ball right now. Yeah. Offense, and since he's left, the offense has been getting pretty punched by the defense. I think it's a message to the offense. Right. I think it's a message to everybody that maybe just the quarterbacks, maybe the offense, like, hey, we're not doing enough. We're getting beat. We're turning the ball over. Everybody went inside. No, I'm running. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm watching. I'm looking. We need to do more. This isn't enough. And I just love that, obviously, the psychology major from Mississippi State. But I do know this. I've come to understand that what he does, not just out of his mouth, but physically, is he's got it. And he's doing certain things that a lot of guys don't understand. And that not running after wasn't just about him. I think to me it was a lot of him sending the message. On the other side, I'll give a little tip of the cap to Mike McCarthy too. Because I don't know if Jason Garrett would allowed him as much freedom, perhaps. Because I don't think Romo ever. I think Romo at time had clamps on him. Maybe Dak too. But he had Dak when he was young, and even though Dak was a great leader, I don't know how much. Garrett was a little bit of a control freak, but to let him run and doing what he does, man, I love it to death. I'm gonna catch you a little bit longer, man. I told you about an hour. We're getting over a little bit here. I ain't gonna hold you too much longer. Real quick, outside of that, Tony Pollard looking good as well. We talked about a little bit on that. Now, my guy Mendoza says he hasn't heard anything on Dowdle. He's had some moments. In some one-on-ones and mainly catching the ball. Right now, we're not seeing a lot of running clips. I've seen some running clips from Dak, but if you can't tackle and you're blocking, whatever, the running stuff's just not going to be too exciting. From a running standpoint, I saw CeeDee Lamb line up in the backfield today and do some things. But
today, yes.
Yeah, today. But Dowdle, I mean, he's from everyone that's there. Shout out to Dave Hellman from DallasCowboys.com. Said he's been having he's not, he didn't call it a strong camp. Said Dowdle's been having a good camp so far. Right. That's what I've heard is he's been having a good camp. Have you heard the same? Have you heard anything different about Dowdle?
Yeah, I mean, I think I actually heard it from Hellman the same way you did. Like I said, I haven't seen a lot of clips. Yeah, I haven't, like you say, the room. It's just not as exciting. You can't pop the pads like that. But
right
when I'm hearing he's looking solid, and I know, I think KD, if I'm not mistaken, when he did his roster prediction, he had us keeping 3 backs, and it was those 3. So
gotcha.
Haven't seen a whole lot, but from what I've heard, when I've heard from him, everybody say he's looked good, and that's very encouraging to see. So.
All right. Well,
I definitely think they need one more guy behind them. So
gotcha.
I definitely hope he gets it.
Wide receivers. We have wide receivers and quarterbacks. We'll get up out of here. Wide receivers. We know the top 3. And look, and I had it out there. I don't think anyone's had no one's having a better camp than CeeDee Lamb, in my opinion. I mean, every day it's something, and he's just like, it's a matter of fact. So we're there. Cooper will be here where Cooper needs to be here. I think it's something where they got him. They're just being extra precautious with everything right now. We're not playing games till September. No reason to rush Amari Cooper. Gallup came back. He's good to go after flipping over the fence. But let's get to that 5th and 6th, because you drafted a guy like Simi, right, from Stanford. You brought in a plethora of these gigantic guys, undrafted free agents. The Nathan Vashers, right, the Osiris's. Man, is it going to be Cedric Wilson, Noah Brown again? It kind of feels like that so far.
Well, Noah, I think Noah Brown. I think he's looking like he's definitely going to secure one of those spots.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, man, I've been hearing a lot of good stuff about Malik Turner too.
True.
I'm hearing a lot of good tweets about him that he didn't play. So I think Noah Brown is definitely one of them. I hope that Simi gets one of those spots, because I'm a big Simi focal guy. I hope he definitely
about to go to 6.
Roster.
You think they'll carry 6? You think they'll carry 6?
Yeah. I think 6 is going to be the cutoff.
Okay.
I don't know if they're going to go 7. They could go 7, but like I say, Noah Brown, I think, especially the first few days, he was coming up a lot. Like Noah Brown, oh man, he looks good. Like he's having a good camp, and he's, him and Cedric are both on 1-year deals, if I'm not mistaken. So they're actually playing for, long contracts also. So if I had to pick the last 3, it would probably be Noah. I'm gonna go Noah, Cedric, and I think Malik and Simi might fight for that spot.
Yeah, see, I mean, they want to make it hard, because I don't know if they're going to carry 6. I'm a 5 or 6 guy. I don't think they're going. I definitely don't believe they're going to do 7. They're a 5 and 6 guy. I think. To me, I think it's going to be Cedric and Noah, and then can Simi or Malik force them into a 6. They're like, well, we drafted Malik, we drafted Simi, so we don't want to lose him. I just now they could. Now be damned. I think they act like Cedric Wilson a lot, but they could say, hey, we're getting rid of Cedric. We're just going to keep Simi. Or we'll keep Simi and Malik, and we'll get rid of Cedric because money. Last year, these guys are cheaper. We know how Steven is. But interesting to watch how if they keep 6 or they keep 5 and how they do it. But I'm definitely with you. I think Brown's on the squad. I think Brown is here. We've heard Mike McCarthy talk about him. He's flashed enough already. He's going to be here. But those the next 1 to 2 spots, very intriguing, very, very intriguing. And last but not least, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. I cut you off.
Yeah, I was saying that's going to make the preseason that much more fun to watch, because I want to see who's going to grab those last receiver spots. So I'm looking at Simi, I'm looking at Malik, I'm looking at Noah, I'm looking at Cedric. Those are 4. I think they're competing for like 3 spots.
Yeah. Osiris came out the gates was really good, but he's kind of fell back to the rest of the pack though.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of like Nation on defense.
Right. But that's the great thing when you have so much competition. They've created so much competition. It makes these preseason games so much more enjoyable, especially in the 3rd and 4th quarters, because you're looking now like, hey, we know the count. We know the count. We know what's here. Who's going to come get it? I'm right there with you. It does make preseason so much better, man, because you do have all of these daggum. Yeah, you got all these guys battling for these limited spots, man. But quarterback. Oh, quarterback. Yes, my guy Bluff's in the building. Yes, Bluff. I'm finally on board. Brown's going to be here. You know, I have. Yeah, he's here, man. There's nothing else I can say about it. It is what it is. Brown's going to be hard to get off the team, as my guy Bluff City said. Appreciate you checking in. But back to the quarterback position. All right, we know Dak Stack, and then we got the Cooper Rushes, the Gilberts, and we got a Ben DiNucci. DiNucci, man. I'll tell you what. What do you think about him so far? Any of them? You want to pick one? You want to?
Well,
do we have a backup?
I think. I think Gilbert is showing that he's probably got the lead as far as being the backup. He to me looked the best last year, especially that game against Pittsburgh. I mean, he did really good, and he wasn't great or anything, but he he's serviceable. We only lost that game 24-19. Yeah, so he looked the best. He had the lead. I've never been sold on Cooper Rush too much. What I did see of Ben DiNucci last year, I mean, he kind of looked like a small school quarterback. So if I had one, I would definitely pick Gilbert. I think he's the better of the three. But I just hope that they do something to get that backup spot secure. Because I said when that went down last year, it was a train wreck.
As my guy Matt Owens said. Gilbert. Oh yeah, go ahead. I'll let you finish that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but Gilbert, I think perspective, like what he's doing in practice. He of course he doesn't look like Dak, but your backup quarterback isn't supposed to look like your starter. He's supposed to look like a backup.
He's a backup, right?
But but he looks serviceable. He's actually made some really nice throws. If you go back and look at some of the tweets, he's made some good throws. Good decisions. Of course, he made some bad ones also, but you gotta expect that from a backup. Right. So Gary Gilbert would be the one that I have probably the most, if any kind of belief in. Cooper Rush and DiNucci, like they're gonna have to show me something in the preseason. So preseason is gonna be big for that position too, like not just receiver, not just corner. For that backup role, because we have to get that taken care of. Not because we think that might get injured, but like when you always have to have backups. And last year, I mean, that quarterback carousel, it was a nightmare. And
my guy Matt Owens says DiNucci is every bubble cornerback's best friend. My guy Jock, what's going on? Jock checking the bill. Geechee says Gilbert will be fine. He's a gamer. Bluff checking it says it was good to see man on the podcast.
He showed that
very smart guy. Yeah, that part said.
My man,
good to have
man Bluff.
Yeah. Let me see what else we got here real quick. It's back up to Gigi until further notice. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, here's my thing. And I kind of said this on Twitter. Some of you might have saw it, Matt. The thing I said about was you're seeing all these interception numbers and whatnot, and if you're just kind of hearing it, you're not paying attention. You're like, man, we ain't got it, man. These quarterbacks are fucking up. But some of the DiNucci and Cooper Rush stink is washing off on Gilbert, as you just said, Star Conscious. They've had, they're like, you go and look at the tape. Gilbert's throwing some nice balls out here. The majority of the highlights that you'll see from my guys catching passes is going to be Gilbert throwing them, nobody else, for the most part. Like 90% of the passes that you're like, somebody did something good on offense is from Gilbert. So I think a lot of it's I think a lot of the DiNucci and everything else that's happening is rubbing off on Gilbert, and Gilbert's actually not having a terrible camp so far. It's just everything that's behind him now. Right now, you might want to say he would like for him to have some competition, because these other guys aren't doing it. And DiNucci, and of course, and when you look at DiNucci, look, McCarthy's dad, our brother coached him in basketball. He went to Pittsburgh, then transferred to Madison, so on and so forth. So, there we are. But whenever you get into the backup quarterback, position, it's like, well, who do you want to go get? And this has kind of been, my thing. It's like, yeah, we want to create competition, right? there's not many guys out here that are left to really bring in competition right now.
Yeah, and that's what I think people are starving for too, is to see Cooper and DiNucci kind of push Gilbert for that back of the road, because he's looking like far and away the only option as a reliable backup. Like I said, he actually impressed me when we played Pittsburgh. It wasn't pretty, but it was like, what, like this is, if we had a better our defense played really good that game, but he just showed you to me, like, if he was a guy that was the regular starter as the backup with Dak out, if our defense was better, we actually could have won a few more games. It could have actually snuck in and won the division. People gotta remember, everybody's talking about Washington, and I understand it with their defense. Washington swept us last year, and they still only beat us by one game.
Right. And I mean, look,
like,
in the Washington game that we were down 21-16 and the stupid fake punt, don't get me started. In the fourth quarter. Here, let me give you some lists, guys. Yeah. Let me name some of these names. Matt, here's some names that we can bring in. Let me see if any of these jump off the board at you. Okay. Here's your guys that you can bring in for competition. Mm-hmm. Well, Brett Hundley's gone, so let's get him out of there. We got Cole McDonald. You have RG3, which he's kind of turned the corner, and he's going to a booth somewhere. He's done.
Yeah, booth somewhere.
Yeah. Matt Barkley, does that get you excited?
No.
Yeah, Tommy Stevens, Tyler Bray, Kevin Hogan, Case Cookus, Ryan Finley, Jordan Tamu, Matt Moore. He's a little older. He's been around. Matt Moore, maybe?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the scenario, maybe some kind of trade, maybe to get like a guy like Garner Minshew.
Minshew would be nice. Blake Bortles is on the list. I mean, Blake Bortles is a free. Does Blake Bortles excite you to bring him in here as a backup?
I wouldn't mind him in competition for Garrett Gilbert to be that backup. And you could have a situation where you could have Gigi, and it's funny, I'm calling him Gigi. I'm giving him a nickname now.
That's what I call him.
Garrett Gilbert. Yeah. You got Triple G the boxer, and I guess we call it Double G the quarterback. But you have Garrett Gilbert and maybe Bortles as your two guys behind that. I wouldn't be opposed to that. But like you said, it's the backup quarterback position, man. In the NFL, is so thin. There's not really a lot of guys out there.
Right. Well, and I tell everybody, I mean, look, you have 32 teams. Literally, you don't have 32 great starting quarterbacks, so it's hard to get two of them, on your team, right? Sometimes the stars line, you can end up with maybe Andy Dalton, or maybe you can end up, the things go right, and maybe a Cam Newton's available and he's willing to be a backup if something was to go wrong up there. They decided to go with the youth movement. My guy, because here's the thing, and Nick Foles, you have to trade for Nick Foles, obviously. My guy Matt Owen says, keep on Nick Mullins if Billy cuts him. But it's like, if you're going to here's the thing about cuts, because they can cut somebody, you can bring them in here. Facts. But that's not going to be until the end of August. They haven't worked with you. What are they really bringing? Trading for somebody like Nick Foles, I don't even know what his contract looks like, anything. I'd be more interested in looking at Gardner Minshew, obviously. But again, I don't really want to give up any draft capital for a backup quarterback personally. Unless it's something like, if I give you a 7th round condition or a 6th round or something, okay, sure. But I'm not trying to give up nothing big, though, to go get a backup quarterback.
I love draft capital.
Yeah,
more picks.
Yeah, bring them on. And look, and let's be clear, guys. Is there any guy that we can bring in here, if Dak was to leave for the rest of the year, that we're going to go win the Super Bowl with? I'm sure most will say, well, Nick Foles did it. Fair, but I'm not even buying that, though. I just don't think there's a guy out there. So, I mean, we need a guy that can get us over the hump if Dak has to miss like 4 or 5 games. That's all Andy Dalton was supposed to be last year. People went way left on that. Yep, all the wood. And I think Double G Gilbert can hold us down for 3 to 5 games. We can just pack it in. Look, we'll run Zeke 30 times, Pollard 20 times, mix in some play action, and go do what we got to do, right?
Indeed. Yeah. So like I say, it's just that backup quarterback position, man.
I thought they might draft somebody. I really thought he was going to draft somebody late. I thought he did, but it did kind of dry up there. It did kind of dry up there, though, towards the end. I thought he was going to get somebody maybe in the late 6th or 7th, but it did kind of dry up all of a sudden, so I guess not. But I don't know, man. From what I've seen from DiNucci, Look, we're talking about guys that are going from year 1 to year 2, and Mike McCarthy even talked about, he's made a jump in year 2. The throwing motion, the ball placement, low key, I think I like Cooper Rush better. I would
Rush a little bit ahead of him. Yeah, I know. I mean, because I was actually kind of excited about the DiNucci pick for a backup because I actually covered his final college game.
Okay.
I was actually there when they played Trey Lance in North Dakota State because it was out here in Texas.
Right.
And I was like, man, like, no, this guy kind of gives me, a little bit of Romo vibes, kind of a gunslinger, kind of.
He's got some juice. Yeah, he's got a little juice.
Yeah, he's not afraid. He'll get in there and mix it up. But like you said, the accuracy, the placement. I gotta see more to Vince about him being, a solid backup. But I would love for him to keep it in the high gear with Rush because I would love to see those 3 guys battle it out and. Yeah. We play some preseason games and they make a decision. Like that's the dream scenario
for sure.
That they all keep in the gear.
Maybe that happens. Yeah, maybe that happens. Mendoza says, "What's more important, to have a backup center or a quarterback?" Well, the word is they're feeling.
Have a backup.
Yeah, they're feeling Connor Williams at center. Yeah, they're feeling them.
Yeah, they're looking good.
Yeah, and the rookie.
Speaking of the Connors, good things about Connor McGovern. He's actually, I seen some tweets about him actually looking pretty good.
Yeah, I'm a big Connor McGovern guy personally. I love him. I think he's a mauler. Technique isn't the greatest, but I mean he can clean that up. But when he got thrown to the fray last year, just watching the play, I'm like, kid's a mauler. I like it. I like maulers. I do. I like maulers on the line. A little nasty to him. And look, we'll get you. Yeah, and we'll get you, and we'll get your footwork right. I'll tell you what, maybe the guy and I've said this, I think our best coaching job done last year was Joe Philbin with the offensive line. Joe Philbin did magical work with the injuries that we had and what he was able to do. So now I don't think they're looking to make Connor Williams this isn't a battle situation. Let's be clear. This is Tyler's job, but they have to find a backup. Connor so far in camp is doing it well. Well, excuse me, Williams. Let me call him Williams here. They're both Connors. Williams is done the job well, which allows McGovern to get more snaps to be your basically swing guard to get better, more reps, the better you can get. I was of the mindset and thinking that they were going to just get through camp, then play week 1, and then call up Looney and say, "Hey, come on in," because once you play week 1, they're not guaranteed contracts. But Jason Garrett said, "Let me go get that right kind of guy, Joe Looney." Bring him on up here to New York.
Cowboys Northeast.
Yeah, Cowboys Northeast, the Jersey boys. But I'm sorry. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, so they're so that's set sail. So it's kind of what's on the roster and we'll just have to wait and see from there. But I'll be honest, I feel better about Connor Williams as a backup center than I do Ben DiNucci playing quarterback. So there's that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I see, Connor, he looked good at center and on guard. So
he's coming off his best years of guard.
Coming off his best years of guard because I wasn't the biggest Connor Williams fan before last year when I watched him last year, he looked a lot better last year. Of course, there were still some plays when I saw his jersey kind of level with Dak, and I don't like that, but. Right. There are also some plays when I saw he looked a little more technically sound. He got some push off the line, and he's starting to come into his own last year, and that's obviously carried over into camp because he's not only look good at guard, but they center and they say he looks really good as a backup. So
loving it, Jack. We did talk about Simi a little while ago, man. Once we finish the show, man, you can just backdoor it and go check it out. We did cover Simi, what's going on with the wide receivers. Outside of that, we haven't really touched on special teams much. Not really nothing to go there because our kicker's got a back injury. Something to be worried about. Are you worried about the kicker position? Are you cool? Where you at with that, Conscious?
I mean, I don't like hearing kickers getting injured.
Right.
But because they don't they're not they don't have very physical positions. But I mean, I'm I'm okay with the kickers right now. And I have a lot of trust in John Fassel. He really turned around our teams last year. We looked a lot better than we did in 2019 when we were just atrocious. So I'm not ready to hit no panic button on that yet, but I am keeping my eye on it because I mean, people don't value kickers that much, but you still need to have a solid kicker.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, so, they don't value them until you need them. And then once you need them, then it's like, well,
right.
Geez, Louise.
This is why they get paid too.
Yeah. Right. Which is funny because the punter that we have now, because what was it? The guy from last year started with the N or whatever. I forgot his dadgum name. Anyways, or he got out of here. But the guy that they brought in now, they have what's his name? Brian Anger, right? And from my knowledge, Brian Anger is doing the punting and kicking duties. He's pulling double duty as we speak for the Cowboys.
Yes, I know about that too.
Yeah, go right
ahead. I haven't even really heard or seen a whole lot of them talking about the kickers yet in the camp. So like like I said, aside from hearing about the injury, so like I can't really get a feel on how anything is going there yet. I don't know if you have.
No, man. All I know is they opened up camp. They brought Brian Anger in. Bones was pretty high on him. Fossil is his nickname. Was definitely pretty high on Anger. Just for reference, I think he averaged around like 45, 46 yards the last 2 years down in Houston. He's run some options, if you will. He's got a little bag of tricks, which we know Fossil likes to run some different things from said position. So he's definitely done some stuff. Now, again, I haven't heard anything about how is this kicking going because once again, Greg the Leg started camp on, with the back injury and not doing anything. So we're just, so we're just waiting for Anger and see, he's doing the stuff. We just have to wait and see. So obviously preseason will kind of clear that up for us, but hey, man, we don't want to just completely ignore the old, the special teams. They matter, they matter.
They matter. And one more little thing, just going back to the receiver that I saw yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, and I actually saw a tweet about how they're moving Michael Gallup around, and I said
all three positions.
Finally,
yes.
I said because I actually quoted a tweet and I put the link from my article that I wrote last August about 3 ways that they could, that he could have his best year. And one of the things I said was use the CeeDee Lamb effect. I said the fact that he can line up outside, put Michael Gallup in the slot, run some crossing patterns, run some dig routes, stuff like that. Like utilize everything. We have 3 guys that can be number ones, and they all can line up outside. And so that they were using him X, Y, and slot. I was like, it's about time.
Yeah,
like you got 3 guys that can do it all. Use it,
right?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it's funny because we actually, we did a show not too long ago, and I was talking about this. I was like, I think Cowboys Nation, disrespects Gallup a lot because I've always said this about Gallup. I said if he would have played the SEC, he would have been a pick. He would have been a first-round pick, but he didn't play in the SEC, so that's what it is. I was like, I think a lot of people disrespect Gallup because they only ask him to do a couple of things. They just ask him run nines, run slants, and maybe a comeback here and there. That's about all they ask him to do. They don't really move him or do anything. Now, he's good at it, and you can see the connection whenever Dak wants to do something, go deep and whatnot. But he has the capability. I said, so they pigeonholed him, not understanding that he has the capability. So whenever, Cowboys Nation wants to say, well, he's just a 2, let him walk, we got these. I was like, you're going to cry in the car when he goes somewhere else, and all of a sudden he's allowed to run the full route tree, and you're like, well, we never seen that from him. Well, and they'll blame the player. But no, the coaches didn't unlock his full potential. So I'm right there with you. The fact they're going to move him around and let him do some things is exciting. Of course, a lot of talk. We got to see it come through. But I'm with you. They do walk through that door. I am with you, Lenix. I am definitely there with you on that.
Yeah, and of course, they've been doing that with CD too. Moving him around, like you said. You saw him in the backfield today. They're talking about playing him outside more. And so when I saw they were playing him outside more, I was like, that's my light bulb went off. Like, are they going to use Gallup in the slot now? They should have been doing from the start. Yeah, like thank you.
Right, it's about time. Also, I saw somebody asking about some of the punt return stuff, and for D-Town did, and Matt had answered Rico and Pollard. Well, our guy, shout out to Jay Tuck, who was out there at Oxnard, sent me some clips. I think he posted them as well. I mean, Zeke back there fielded a couple of punts the last couple of days. For what it's worth, much to do about nothing, having fun at camp. I don't know, but hey, Zeke fielded a couple of punts. Yeah, so
please let the Zeke one be having fun.
I'll be honest with you.
Now,
how do you feel about? Do you like CD returning punts? Yes or no? Are you okay with that?
My thing is this: I'm more in the big game James. A shout out to our guy, big game James. Real scared money don't make money. CD is a playmaker. Use him as
he wasn't good on punt return last year, though.
I will say that he wasn't.
He was bottom of the league. I went and dug up the numbers. I'm like, man.
Yeah, but I mean, we really didn't have anybody that was really too good at returning.
Well, there you go, point out facts and stuff. I mean,
fair enough. Fair enough. God. So it's like if you're gonna give anybody a chance, I mean, it wouldn't be CD or maybe a guy like Tony Pollard. But
see, I'm a Pollard guy.
I just
think
for
me, I'm a Pollard guy. Now my guy Blood, I think my guy says, well, he's never returned punts, and I'm like, okay. I was like, we always cry about Pollard not getting enough touches, and I'm like, yeah. I'm just like, they're always complaining about Pollard not getting. We're always complaining about Pollard not getting enough touches. I'm like, well, here's an artificial way to generate him some more touches and let him be special. But I digress. Yeah. Apparently, I just that's all I can. I don't know. I can't. No. So I mean, obviously,
I think a lot of the apprehension with him is because, like you said, he did more kick returns than punt returns. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think he's. Well, he run back 7 kickoffs for touchdowns.
Yeah,
in Memphis.
Memphis. You're right.
And like I said, when I saw them putting them in the slot, I said, yeah, like this guy caught 104 passes for almost 1,300 yards.
Yeah,
like you have to use them. Put them in the slot, put them in motion, and have Zeke on the field at the same time. Like you have to use your weapons more. We have so many.
Big facts.
So you got 3 receivers that can play all positions.
Yeah,
you got a 3 down back and you got like Pollard, who you can
Swiss Army knife,
you can run, you can run jet sweep. Yeah, Swiss Army knife. Like we have a lot of Swiss Army knives on both sides of the ball,
which is awesome. And that's why I'm like, for me, I pound the table on this. I think we have a Super Bowl ready offense. Can we get that defense to come along for the ride? That's kind of where I'm at.
This is what I tell you about the defense. All getting to the top half of the league. If you can get them middle of the road, you can get them around 15, maybe a 12, even if it was a 17. Get them around that middle of the pack. With the top 5 offense, you have a chance to do really,
you got a chance. Really good. Turnover, if we can win the turnover battle, the plus and minus, if we get around plus 8, if we get around plus 8 to 10, we're going to be a problem. And if we in scoring defense, if we can keep them 21 and under, I think we're in good shape, man. Do you have a record yet? Do you have a prediction for the record for this year yet? Or are you holding that close to the vest, or is that something you do?
I'm actually not a prediction guy, but
fair enough.
I was asked. I was actually asked by our man CD Drummond to actually do one, and this was I think a couple months ago or a little so. So I went through the school. I did a prediction post, and I have the Cowboys at 11-6 and winning the NFC East.
Okay, we're not far off. I'm a 10-7 guy because I got to see some of this defense now. And I said, once I see some of this defense in preseason and see some things come together, maybe I'll change my mind. But I'm right there with you. I think it's 10-7 unless major injuries happen. Then all bets are off. But I think we're a 10-7 to a maybe 12-5, maybe. But I like 11-6. Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with 11-6. I think that's a good benchmark. You look at they won 6 games last year. That can easily win you 3 or 4 games by himself.
There you go.
That can get you to 9 or 10. You can grind out a couple games with Zeke. That might get you a couple more wins. So 11-6. I say, and I think even 10-7 could win this division because I'm not drinking that Washington football team Kool-Aid.
D-Town in the building.
Defense,
yeah, I gotta. They got the coaches. The coaches got problems. They won't get back. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Well, and here's the thing about old Fitz Magic over there. He'll get hot. That's fine. Boy, he'll give you some candy though. Right. Oh, he'll give you some candy.
Yes, he will.
He'll give you a lot of candy. My guy D-Town in this building with that 17-0. Mendoza says same 17-0. I mean, hey, like my guy Vach says. We're 17-0 till we lose one, and I feel that.
True.
Hey, we're 17-0 till we lose one, and then we'll kind of look at it like that. My guy Kenny checking in with the 13-4. I will say this.
Okay.
Record be damned. And again, this is always pertaining off of no major injury to your quarterback, something like that. This should be a playoff team with the opportunity to make some noise. That's where I'm like. Right, and that's where this team needs to be at. If there's something that happens this year that and there's no injuries that wrinkles this thing and it gets off track, then they got to start looking at what's going on, differently. But I think the team is primed and ready. I do think this division is theirs for the baking. When you have the best quarterback in the division, yeah, go ahead.
I'll say Rika just chimed in. She had us at 12-5.
Yeah, 12-5. Yeah, I mean, when you have the best quarterback in the division, along with a revamped defense, youth movement, got to rely on the youth movement a little bit. But you got these guys on offense that are coming back. And I am the CEO of SEO, which is the Scorched Earth offense, is going to be live and in full effect. We're going to be dropping these 40 burgers. So yeah, I mean, I'm super excited about this. 40 burgers. I think the idea is this offense to throw the ball and get up quick, unleash the defensive ends, and then give the ball to Zeke and Paul to kill this game. I think that's the thought process. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
That's it.
We'll see. With that being said, though, man, appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all rocking with us. Always Cowboys Nation. Before we get out of here, my guy, Mr. Lenix, a.k.a. Star Conscious on Twitter. Man, tell the people where they can find you, find your content. Writer extraordinaire. The floor is absolutely yours, sir.
Yes, you can find me at Star Conscience, and if you have trouble spelling that, it's real easy. The word con and the word science, and put them together. At Star Conscience on Twitter. You can find my work at InsideTheStar.com, Cowboys Wire, and at NGSC Sports. And also, let me give a quick plug. Hitters, the #1 Cowboys movement in the world, the hard hitters.
The hitters
anybody out there that's a diehard Cowboys fan. Yes, if there's anybody that's a diehard Cowboys fan, we are in about 15 states, 3 international chapters. We don't just do tailgates and watch the games. We give back to the community, toy drives, school drives, back to feeding the homeless. We do a lot all year. So if you are a diehard Cowboys fan, you want to be a part of something, you can find me on Facebook, Matthew Lenix. That's Lenix. I can point you in the right direction. Beautiful thing to be a part of. I actually put out something on Facebook today. They had the cameras behind the hard hitters, and we were actually on NFL Network. They had our founder, shout out to Coach, Mr. Double O, and some of our hitters were on NFL Network. So if you want to be a part of that, hit me up. You can find me Inside the Star, Cowboys Wire, NGSC Sports, all my people on there. I just do my best, and I'm blessed to have the opportunity to share my knowledge and my gift with the world, and that's all I ever wanted to do, was just that, have my voice heard. And those 3 places, shout out to Bryson, Treese, Ralph Garcia, KB Drummond, for letting me do what I do, and that's right about the Cowboys, and that's nothing's better than that for me. So shout out to you, Knicks, and man, J Tuck, and big game James, and Katie, Patrick, No C, all the people that have helped me, Rika, people over there at Dallas Cowboys Uncensored that have reached out to me about possibly working together, man. Like, it's just been awesome, the positive vibes and getting your work appreciated, like staying in on weekends and not going out and staying up late and researching and writing.
Having an upper respiratory infection, like, let's screw it, let's do it.
Right. Exactly. So, having all that, be recognized and be appreciated is, it's really, he's really been big for me. Also, y'all can check out my YouTube channel.
I was about to say, plug that YouTube, baby.
Cowboys. Yeah, I only got one video on there because I've been doing a lot this week getting prepared for the Hall of Fame. Because I'm actually going to be going out there Wednesday. I'll be at Thursday, and I'll be at both ceremonies actually too. I got my credentials approved thanks to Ralph Garcia, NGSC Sport, the Ralph. I actually was trying to get in last year, but COVID happened. But I'm gonna have the opportunity to be at both ceremonies. I get to watch Jimmy and Drew Pearson go in the hall, man.
That's awesome, brother.
Somebody who started watching the Cowboys during the Jimmy Johnson era to see him go in. That's just bucket.
Full circle, my friend.
Just to be in the
full circle for you, my friend. That's awesome, man.
It sure did. And speaking of full circle, before we go, actually, in 2014, I actually was homeless for about 26 days. When I was living in Boston, and I actually moved here. I actually became homeless June 25th, 2014, and I actually went to Vegas 2 years ago. We had a little mansion get together with the Hitters, and I got brought on to be a staff writer for them after being a junior writer on June 25th, 2019. 5 years later, it all came full circle.
Man.
So, I tell people that story and they're always like, man, that's crazy. Like, that's why you're so passionate about this. That's why you put out 10, 12 articles a week, because I don't take it for granted.
Right.
I was, suicidal. I was thinking about taking my own life. And, for that to come around 5 years to the day, I got back from Vegas and Bryson was like, because I was supposed to be put on staff after, training camp. But he said, you don't need any more training. You're ready. Now he made me a staff on June 25th, 5 years to the day when I became homeless. So that's why I do what I do, man. That's why y'all see me pumping out those articles on pretty much a daily basis. I put out anywhere from 40 to 45 a month. And I'm not going to stop until I get what I got out of this game. And having guys like you and, appreciate me and want me to come on and, share my voice and my knowledge. And, that's all I want to do. And it's been really, really great here these last few months, making connections, man. Shout out to my man Skywalker Steel too. I saw him yesterday. Yeah. Because he moved out here. Me and him chopped it up. It's just been my man Jay Tuck. I've known him for years. I know Jay Tuck for years. He's come to our tailgates. He can tell you about the Hitters too.
Oh yeah.
Big Wayne James. Me and him have started connecting a lot. My man Boss Cowboy. I met him. He's been to some of our stuff, and like I say, me and you have been chopping up a lot lately. So I'm just appreciative, man. Like I don't take it for granted. I love what we do. I love the circle we have and the content creator, writer / world with the Cowboys. We got a lot of good people putting out a lot of good stuff, a lot of good insight, a lot of education. As you see, a lot of our guys travel just to be out there in Oxnard. And I was actually supposed to be there too, but when I got the opportunity to go to Hall of Fame, I couldn't.
Skirt, yeah, skirt. Hey, Oxnard will be there next year. Jimmy going to the Hall of Fame.
Exactly. And I've actually been to training camp in Oxnard a few times, so I was like, I'll just go to the Hall of Fame. No big.
Whatever. Man, brother, man, it's a great story. I'm glad you got to share it. And it's inspiring. Everyone has their bouts with mental health, whether they want to admit it or not. That's how I feel. I've had my own, but it's good to be that model and say, hey, you can't come back from it. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. And, perseverance, perseverance. And never be scared to reach out, never be scared to call somebody and pick up that phone and do those things, because there's people there that want to support you. Whether you feel, and I get it, at times you think there's not, but I promise you, they're there if you're just willing to be brave enough to pick up that phone. And sometimes that's the hardest part. Brother, this won't be the last time. This was awesome.
Definitely not.
This was amazing. I've been trying to get you on a couple of different times, schedules, different things, whatnot. I'm glad we were finally able to do it. Like I said, definitely would not be the last time. Whenever you're ready and you're on that side, by any time you want me to come over to your channel, I am more than happy to show up and show out for you, my friend. But that being said, man, y'all can find me. Go ahead. No, what you say? Go ahead.
I just want to plug, make sure you come out for that first home game in Philly, because we're trying to do something big, man. I know Tuck's gonna be, Cowboys gonna be there. You know, you're gonna be there, James. We're trying to do something big. You know, maybe get all of us together and
I'll be there. I'm a hop skip down the road. I'm over here in Longview. I'll be there. I ain't too far away. A little drive, a little 2 hour drive.
Experience the hard hitters tailgate experience. And
I got a friend of mine. Who's in the chapter out there in L.A. And during the draft, I got to kick it with him a little bit during the draft. So yeah, I'm looking forward for more of that. You know what though? It's probably about time for me to join up. It's probably what it is. That's why I'm missing out. I mean, come on through.
We need to talk about that whenever we get off here.
Yeah, we'll do that for sure. Yeah, we'll definitely do some of that. Yeah, we'll do some of that for sure. With that being said, though, man, your guy Nick's _ in between right over there at Twitter. Come through, holler at me. We have a great time. You'll see me and Star going back and forth, and Sky and Tuck and James and Boss, and we have a good time over there. We interact with the people, man. There's no us without y'all. We always appreciate y'all. Whether it's reading the content like Rocket's blog and making it go, and it was trending, and I got the notification today. She's got a fire one. Whether it's my guy Star Conscious, dropping them fire articles all the time. I mean, Mr. Rome. Cowboys Fan Talk only drops some great videos as well. You're over here rocking with Star Gang. Whenever we're here, my guy Spoonie, Mary, Matt O's been in the chat. He couldn't get on. He got the little baby. He couldn't get on today. But we appreciate all y'all rocking with us for sure. For us, our goal, we're trying to get our subs to 1,000 before the season on YouTube. It's been blasting down there on the bottom. Star Gang Podcast is the channel on YouTube. It takes you 10 seconds to hit the sub, hit the like, or hit the notification bell. Help us get to that 1,000. With that being said, we'll catch y'all Wednesday for sure. But you got the notification bell to go before then. You get to see something else. My guy, Mr. Lenix. Appreciate you, brother.
Nick,
y'all have a good night, everybody.
My man, I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, sir.